Futurama Recap, S11E07, Rage Against the Vaccine. Posted by Avery Kaplan September 3, 2023. Animation, recaps and reviews, science fiction, TV and streaming 0. The more things change, the more things stay the same. Futurama Season 11 Episode 7, Rage Against the Vaccine, was written by Cody Ziegler and directed by Edmund Fong. Related, read our recap of the previous episode, I Know What You Did Next Christmas. In New York City's Central Park, Mayor C. Randall Puppenmeyer, David Herman, hosts Back to Normal Fest 2021 2547 3023. The event celebrates Earth's successful triumph of COVID-19, which has finally been achieved in 2023. Rage Against the Vaccine. However, the television broadcast of the event is interrupted by a Channel Square Route 2 News special report. Linda, Tress McNeil, and Morbo, Maurice LaMarche, report that a new virus, Explovid 23, has broken out among NYC sewer mutant population. Symptoms include blinding, uncontrollable rage and a mild cough. Police are enforcing a travel ban for the sewers. Philip J. Fry, Billy West, Hubert Farnsworth, West, Dr. Zwaberg, West, Amy Wong, Lauren Tom, and Bender Bending Rodriguez, John DiMaggio, watch the broadcast in the Planet Express building break room. They're joined by Duranga Leela, Katie Segal, who emerges from a manhole in the break room and says goodbye to her parents Duranga Munda, McNeil, and Duranga Morris, Herman. Both are surly and have a cough. Everyone else in the break room scoots away from Leela. Then Hermes Conrad, Phil Lammer, enters the room carrying a package and tells them they've got a delivery. Rage Against the Vaccine. The Plan X ship lands near Puppenmeyer's event in Central Park. It's revealed that the box contains Bill Nye the Science Head, Bill Nye. The Plan X crew delivers him so he can receive NYC's highest honor, the key to the Times Square liquor cabinet. Leela coughs as she deposits him on the podium. Rage Against the Vaccine. Nye thanks the people of NYC for the tremendously dubious honor. He says that after what seems like 1,000 years of COVID, but which Bender points out was actually more, Nye officially declares the pandemic to be over. But then everyone on the stage begins coughing and becomes surly. Soon everyone in the crowd is fist fighting, even Father Changstein El Gamal. Related, Geek Girl Authority Crush of the Week, Duranga Leela. Back at the Plan X offices, a new New York Post headline declares, sewer flu spreading rapidly, anger all the rage. Amy points her toe at Leela to avoid pointing a finger at her. Farnsworth arrives with a new test to determine who has the virus. He demonstrates by shoving the Q-tip way up his nose to collect a brain matter sample. Zwaberg says he can't wait to do the same thing hundreds of times. Then a line appears on the Q-tip to show whether the subject is infected. Rage Against the Vaccine. Everyone's test comes back negative except Leela's. Leela is quarantined in the Angry Dome. Stop the spread. At the White House, President Richard M. Nixon's head, West, issues an executive order requiring everyone to wear a mask over their ears to prevent the spread of angry remarks. Scoop Chang attempts to ask a clarifying question, but since Nixon can't hear him, he concludes the conference. Rage Against the Vaccine. Elsewhere, Hermes announces the Plan X crew will be working remotely. They communicate via a new app called Gloom. Hermes says it will be better for those of them with families. However, an undressed Dwight soon gloom bombs Hermes, only to be plucked away by La Barbara Conrad, Don Lewis. Zwaberg's connection is terrible. Bender won't stop eating silicorn snacks. This angers Leela, who punches him through the screen. Amy intentionally changes her hair using the filter. Farnsworth accidentally turns on a Lovey Bear filter. Related, 10 Star Trek references on Futurama. Then they're interrupted by Hattie McDougall, McNeil, who asks if this is a gloom room where she can refill her prescriptions. Farnsworth demands everyone return to the office in person. Hermes protests that it's a violation of health and safety standards. Farnsworth says everything they do is a violation, just wear a mask. Rage against the vaccine. Soon the Plan X crew, minus Leela, gather around the conference table in person. No two crew members are wearing their masks the same way. Hermes states they need to practice hygiene theater. Fry uses sandwich bleach, not for use on rye. Scruffy wipes up his loogie with his sleeve. Amy suggests the virus could be a hoax. Hermes says they need to look at the facts. He concludes Explovid 23 carries all of the classic symptoms of zombieism. Zombie germs. Farnsworth calls Hermes' theories unscientific. He continues that Explovid 23 victims move too quickly to be zombies. But Hermes counters that there are zombies of all speeds out there. He says, the cure is always the same, voodoo. Farnsworth says people stopped believing in voodoo in Fry's time. But Hermes says voodoo gets results, whether you believe in it or not. Everyone else dismisses Hermes, pointing and laughing at him. And yet there are zombies, seethes Hermes as he exits. At the Conrad home, La Barbara and Dwight cook together. Hermes enters and informs La Barbara they're going to New Orleans. La Barbara asks if they're attending Mardi Gras. While Mardi Gras is currently underway, Hermes says the trip is to find people who practice voodoo. La Barbara gasps and sends Dwight to his room. She tells Hermes he's messing with powers he doesn't understand, but which she does. La Barbara says she grew up in a voodoo family, and zombieism killed her father. And then brought him back to life. She doesn't want anything to do with that world. Hermes resolves to go alone. La Barbara makes him promise to bring her back some beignet. Related, 10 Star Trek references on Futurama, Part 2. Soon, Hermes is waiting in line at NNYC's Grand Cylindrical Station. After passing through a TSA check conducted by Officer Smitty, he is directed to his seat by tube attendant Randy DiMaggio. Hermes takes a seat in business rather than fighting, sitting down beside Petunia McNeil, who offers him a swig of hand sanitizer before drinking it all herself. Randy asks Space Karen not to cram her husband into the overhead bin. She becomes confrontational and begins recording Randy with her iPhone. Soon the majority of the passengers are arguing and recording each other with each of their respective iPhones. The cure? At City Hall in NNYC, Puppenmeyer holds a press conference. Also present on the stage is the mayor's secretary and Chaz, the mayor's aide. See, Season 4's The Why of Fry. Motivated by his low poll numbers, Puppenmeyer announces Farnsworth has created a vaccine for Explovid 23. Farnsworth takes the podium and explains his cutting-edge RNA technology makes his vaccine as potent as it is untested. However, that's when Ogden Wernstrom, Herman, arrives with his own essentially identical vaccine and declares it far superior. Wernstrom brags his carries a 2-shot regimen, but Farnsworth counters that his is 3. Farnsworth's makes your shoulder sore for a month. Wernstrom's vaccine causes it to shrivel and fall off. Farnsworth says his vaccine comes with a futuristic way to tell who has and hasn't been vaccinated, a small scrap of easily lost paper. The wind blows the scrap from Farnsworth's fingers. Related, here's why we must save Star Trek, Prodigy. Back at the Plan X building, Fry approaches the angry dome to bring Leela her favorite meal, chicken-shaped steak. He communicates with her via a screen labeled Mad TV. Leela is overly critical but Fry says that's just the virus. He asks her about the cream pie, and she throws it in his face using the same tech that allowed her to punch Bender over gloom. Legitimate journalism. Back at City Hall, Chang questions Wernstrom about reports that his vaccine causes magnetism. Wernstrom states this is a feature, not a bug. He sticks a spoon to his nose and impresses the crowd. Linda asks Wernstrom about reports his vaccine causes sterility. Wernstrom says this is essential, as children make people angrier than anything else. Next comes Dr. Banjo, Herman, of the Dr. Banjo Experience podcast Experience Hour. Banjo asks how Farnsworth responds to rumors Banjo is starting that there are 5G chips in Farnsworth's vaccine. Farnsworth says the chips are safe and purely for surveillance purposes. The journalists are aghast. Farnsworth says the chips track the virus particles so the space lasers can shoot them. Wernstrom says to keep Farnsworth's quackery away from him. However, his magnetism causes every needle in Farnsworth's suitcase to stick Wernstrom in the forehead. Related, Geek Girl Authority Crush of the Week, D. Vanatendi. Meanwhile, the tube carrying Hermes arrives in Nonola, birthplace of Jazabets. The passengers aboard continue to fight. This eventually causes the tube crash in the midst of a Mardi Gras parade, which features a float carrying Gumbotron, a gumbo-flinging robot who is shaped like a giant prawn. Hermes has injured his legs but pushes through the pain for Gumbo. Rage against the vaccine. Later, Hermes wades through the vomit at the corner of Bourbon Street and Diet Coke Avenue. He arrives at Madame Robosa's voodoo shop. Inside, he approaches Magda the automatic fortune teller robot, MacNeil. Hermes asks her if this is Voodoo HQ. He offers her a quarter in exchange for information. Magda consults the tarot. She offers Hermes several paths, the key of bones, the hanging man, the man being crushed by a big beignet, and the man being beaten by the Saints mascot. The hanging man. Hermes asks Magda what's in the pot under the hanging guy. She answers that it's boiling gumbo. Hermes says he'll start with the gumbo. At Elzar's Nonola, Hermes accepts a blast from a spice weasel held by Elzar, DiMaggio. Hermes breathes fire as he declares it kind of mild. He resolves to try the key of bones instead. Back in NNYC, Farnsworth throws unused vaccine in the trash and says the pandemic could be over if people would take his vaccine. He asks why everyone but him is so stupid. Amy says it's because everyone but him uses social media. She shows him a video of Banjo monologuing about the vaccine fascists who are taking away our freedom. In the next video, Judge Ron Whitey, West, sits in a golf cart and claims the masks are destroying his lungs as he deeply smokes a cigarette. Amy says all the misinformation on Facebook is tearing them apart and wonders who is posting it. Related, Geek Girl Authority Crush of the Week, Amy Wong. The origin of the misinformation is revealed to be Omicron Persei. JRR, Tom, is posting misinformation at the behest of LRR, Lamarche, and NDND, MacNeil. LRR suggests telling them worm medicine helps. He reveals the misinformation is designed to divide the citizens of Earth to make them ripe for the conquering. Rage against the vaccine. At the Plan X building, Fry returns to the angry dome to give Leela flowers. Leela warns him to stay away or risk infection, and a beating. Fry says he doesn't care and enters anyway. The sounds of violence give way to sounds of coughing followed by sounds of cough making out. Mon Amy Bonebit. In a Nonola cemetery, Hermes encounters Bonebit. He explains he's been bones keeper of this boneyard for 3 bone dread years. Hermes says that's good because he's on a bone-related errand. He explains he's looking for the secret bone key to the Voodoo HQ. Bonebit says he's never seen the bone key. Hermes asks if he's checked the prominently displayed skull with a key-shaped cutout on its bone head, forehead. Bonebit shakes the skull and the bone key falls out. Bonebit admits he's never looked around the place. He attributes this to his lack of eyes. Then he offers Hermes a ride. Soon they are traveling across the bayou in Bonebit's airboat. Bonebit knocks a garfish away. Hermes vomits over the side and says the 8th bowl of gumbo may have been a mistake. Bonebit says, no amount of gumbo is a mistake, Mon Amy. He explains the water is always choppy here because of the force field levees. Related, 17 Star Trek actors, and 1 Trek Day MC, on Adventure Time. The Colonel, Herman, and his daughter Umbriel, both of the lost city of Atlanta, appear. The Colonel tells Bonebit and Hermes that if they see that dugong from Macon to run him down, as he has absconding with his daughter's dowry. See Season 2's The Deep South. Bonebit and Hermes arrive at Voodoo HQ. Hermes is thrown onto the dock by Bone Bone, who promptly wishes him bon voyage and navigates his airboat away. Voodoo HQ Biomedical Center. Hermes uses the bone key to enter Voodoo HQ. Inside, he is greeted by Barbados Slim. Slim tells Hermes to come in and make himself feel inadequate. Meanwhile, Omicronian ships advance on Earth's skies. Fortunately, the Nimbus is patrolling the planet's orbit. Unfortunately, Earth's internal divisions make defensive strategy impossible. Kiv Crocker, Lamarche, and Zap Brannigan, West, both cough as they use the Nimbus weapons to fire on one another. Rage against the vaccine. On the news, Linda coughs as she reports on these events. When Morbo says both sides must be destroyed, Linda laughs, coughs, and then picks up her chair and begins to beat Morbo with it. Related, 11 Star Trek references in popular music. In Louisiana, Hermes is surprised that Slim is the head of the Voodoo HQ. Slim says he learned from the best of the best, La Barbara. Hermes tells Slim to stay away from La Barbara, declaring Slim and La Barbara to be mostly ancient history. Slim counters that history has a way of repeating itself. Getting back to business, Hermes tells Slim he believes voodoo might be the only thing that can fight the virus. Slim says that much is obvious. However, the test for demonic possession came back negative. Hermes shares his theory that the virus is a form of zombieism. Slim says you don't see a lot of angry shouting zombies, but it would explain a lot. But he continues that they have a problem. There's only person with the expertise to cure zombieism. But La Barbara enters and reveals she's come to help Hermes with his mission. La Barbara dodges answering Hermes' questions about how she found them and why she has a key. After revealing he also has a key to Hermes and La Barbara's place, Barbados leads them to the Biomedical Center. Omicron variant. Omicronian ships arrive in NNYC. One of them squishes the hemoglobin, Lamarche, as it lands. At City Hall, LRR addresses the people of Earth, including many of the same journalists from the previous press conference. He is interrupted when he sneezes, even though he doesn't have a nose. ND sneezes as well. The couple begin to cough and fight. Farnsworth tests them and determines the virus has mutated with their Omicronian ND DNA. It's a highly contagious Omicron variant. Soon the crowd is coughing and brawling. Rage against the vaccine. At the Biomedical Center, La Barbara explains the strategy. The key is to create a voodoo potion that tricks the body into thinking it has the virus, but without actually getting the disease. Hermes deduces that the immune system falls under its spell and anti-jujus that attack the spike protein, thus inoculating against future infection. La Barbara says Hermes has some serious mental pecs, her second favorite kind. Related, 8 pop culture references in Star Trek. La Barbara says they'll need a test subject. Hermes declines but gets a shot in his shoulder through a Hermes voodoo doll anyway. La Barbara and Slim make out to test the potion's efficacy. Hermes feels only a normal, easy to repress rage. Success. Free voodoo shots. Later, outside the Plan X building in NNYC, a banner instructs people to maintain 6 green snake-length social distance as they queue for free voodoo shots. A battered Fry and Leela kiss after they've each received their shots. Banjo asks for assurance that there's no science in the vaccine. Zap asks for a lollipop but settles for licking his Zap voodoo doll. He identifies the flavor as wig glue. Farnsworth arrives and calls the vaccine mumbo gumbo. He says anything he can't understand is fake. Nevertheless, he gets his shot and his rage is alleviated. Farnsworth tells Hermes he owes him an apology for being so anti-voodoo. It may seem back-whack crazy to a layman, but I see now that voodoo methods are built on centuries of brilliant scholarship. Hermes accepts his apology and says it's understandable. After all, any sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from science. Related, read all of our Futurama recaps here. As Bender gets his shot, the Bender voodoo doll says, "Ah yeah." New episodes of Futurama are available for streaming Mondays on Hulu. Author. Recent posts. Avery Kaplan is the author of several books and the features editor at Comic Speed. She was honored to serve as a judge for the 2021 Cartoonist Studio Prize Award and the 2021 Prism Awards. She lives in the mountains of Southern California with her partner and a pile of cats, and her favorite place to visit is the cemetery. You can also find her writing on Comics Bookcase, Neotext, Shelf Dust, The Mary Sue, StarTrek.com, in many issues of Panel Xpanel, and in the margins of the books in her personal library. Related. Plan X shippers rejoice, new Futurama Season 11 trailer confirms Freela. June 27, 2023. In animation. Futurama recap, S11E02, Children of a Lesser Bog. July 30, 2023. In animation.